I'm going to model how to solve this equation without using counters. We're going to use opposite operations. So we know we want to get the n by itself. So we need to get rid of this stuff that's over here with the n. We need our answer to say n equals a number. So what I have to do is go with order of operations backwards. I need to start by adding or subtracting. So what I'm going to do, I don't like having this plus 16 over here, so I have to do the opposite of plus 16. I have to minus 16, and I do that on both sides. When I talk about sides, I mean the equal sign divides this in half. That's like the middle of the teeter-totter. This plus 16 minus 16 equals 0. So this is gone. I'm left with 2n equals, now 38 minus 16 is equal to 22. Now, the operation that's between 2 and n is multiply. So I have to do the opposite of multiply, which is divide. So I am going to divide by 2, and I have to do that on both sides. When I multiply by 2 and divide by 2, that cancels out, and I'm left with n equals 22 divided by 2, which is 11. This time I'm solving for x. So my goal is to get x all by itself on the right-hand side. That means that I need to get rid of this -4 and this +3. So I have to do my order of operations backwards, and I have to recognize that this part here is adding and this part is multiplying by the x, and we have to do the adding and subtracting first. That means that I have to take care of this part first. I can't have that +3, so I do the opposite of +3, which is -3. And I have to do that on both sides of the equal sign. Now, +3 minus 3 is equal to, I should erase this here, I don't want you to think that I'm dividing. +3 minus 3 makes 0, so we can cross that off. And we're left with -4x is equal to, now you have to be really careful with your adding and subtracting of integers. This is -1 minus 3. So that makes, you can use your calculator if you want to, -4. We want to get the x by itself. And this operation that's between the -4 and the x is multiply. So I have to do the opposite operation to multiply, which is divide. And you divide by exactly what's there. I am going to divide by -4. And I have to do that on both sides. Now, because I have multiply by 4 and divide by, multiply by -4 and divide by -4, they cancel each other out and make a 1. That means I have x equals, now -4 divided by -4, a negative divided by a negative is a positive, and 4 divided by 4 is 1. And that's my final answer. This question looks different than the other ones because this time I have my x on the right-hand side. It doesn't matter. We still have this equal sign here. We have a left side and a right side, and we need to get x by itself. So down here, this needs to say x equals some number. It doesn't matter that it's on the other side. Now what we're going to do is, remember, we start with adding and subtracting first, and we want to look at this side because we want to get the x by itself. So I can see that it has a subtract 3. Well, I want to do the opposite of that, so that means I need to add 3. And I will add 3 on this side also. When I subtract 3 and add 3, that makes 0, so that's gone. And now I'm left with, on my left-hand side, 33 plus 3, which is 36. And on the right side, I have just the 4x. Now, the operation that's between these is multiply. So we need to do the opposite of multiply, and that is divide by 4. And you have to do that on both sides. 4 divided by 4 is equal to 1. And so I have x on the right-hand side, and 36 divided by 4 is equal to 9 on the left-hand side. When you look at this question, you have to remember you're trying to get the variable by itself, and we can see here that we have subtract 12 and we have a divide by 2. Remember, we do the adding and subtracting first, so that means we're going to tackle this subtract 12 first. The opposite of subtract 12 is add 12. So we are going to add 12 to both sides. Minus 12 plus 12 makes 0. So this is gone. That means that on the left side, I'm left with n divided by 2 is equal to 3 plus 12, which is 15. We have to make sure that we know what this operation right here means. This means divide. So the opposite of divide is multiply. We're going to multiply, and how I show that is I put a bracket around these and I put a 2 there to show that I'm multiplying by 2. You can put a little multiply sign if it makes you feel better, but you don't have to have that. When you multiply by 2 and divide by 2, you've changed nothing. So it's just like a 1 there. So it's 1n, which we will write as n. The multiply by 2 and the divide by 2 cancel each other out. On the right-hand side, I have 15 times 2, which is 30. And that's my final answer.